Hi, friends! Welcome to the Overcomers, a movement and a group of people who have overcome, and they've got a story. That's what the Overcomers is all about. You sharing your story. Why? Because there is power in your story, and people need you. They need your voice. They need your story of hope, faith, and inspiration that where they're at right now is not the end. They need to know if you can overcome, so can they. Today, I'm excited to share with you another story of one such overcomer. So let's go check out who it is. I'm honored to be here today with my friend Jenny Williams. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us.
Aw, thank you, Jen, for having me.
Jenny is a mom of three, and she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And not only that, she's a true overcomer. She has truly been through some of life's hardest battles. But what blows me away the most is her heart to help people, and specifically to bring awareness to our firemen and the dangers that they face in their profession. She's got a powerful story. She's gone through a lot of miracles in her life, and she's here with us today to share some of those stories. Jenny, tell us your story. What are some of those miracles that have happened in your life?
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I will start with my birth. So on June 26, 1978, my mom was in a wreck in Hawaii. I was born in Hawaii, and a bus hit her, and I was born early. And when they got me to the hospital, they worked on me, and then the doctor pronounced me dead to my mom and dad. So he legally pronounced me dead for 2 hours and left me alone because I had some other preemies that were needed to be worked on. And a nurse found me, and I wasn't dead. So I was legally pronounced dead for 2 hours. My funeral was being arranged, and then they found me, and I wasn't dead, and I was known in Hawaii as the miracle baby, and was given a Hawaiian middle name by Nona Beamer that is Kamana Olana, which means a beautiful child in faith, hope, and love.
Wow.
So that's where the very first miracle started in my life.
That's incredible. You were dead for 2 hours and they found you alive.
Yes. Yep.
How does that happen?
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Miracle for sure.
Sure.
And that is not the only miracle that you've experienced. You've had several others throughout your journey. Tell us about some of the other ones.
Yes. Well, they also told my parents that I was not that I'd pretty much be a vegetable, and I'm not. I'm not a vegetable. And another miracle was meeting my husband and marrying him, because our story is a little different. We have an age difference, and he was not on my list of plans to marry, but God had other plans and for other reasons. And we started fighting for children, whether they were in all types of bad situations, so through the courts. And that's how we met and how we fell in love and got married. And he was a firefighter. He had many, many miracles. He had many times where buildings fell on him, and 4 different occasions he has passed away or died, and the doctors had brought him back. And during one of those times, he actually went to heaven, and he said that it was for real, or it is for real. He said there's really gold streets. He said there's angels. And my kids always get a kick out of this one when he would say this, or even when I tell this now. He said there's even naked angels, and it's not weird.
That's so funny.
Hmm.
Said it's beautiful, and there were people he knew there, and there were people he didn't, and he loved it. He was going to stay. He never saw Jesus, God or Jesus, but he heard a very deep voice, and that deep voice said, "You're not finished yet." And he was physically pushed back, and he remembers coming back and feeling the worst pain physically and spiritually. From then, he was paralyzed for a year and taught himself how to walk, and God healed him from that also, and he went back to firefighting. And since then, he had had many other accidents and a heart attack during the job, and almost didn't make it then. And he's just miracle after miracle after miracle. So um, in October 2017, he started losing weight. And firefighters, at least in Kansas City, Missouri, where we were from, they would get physicals regularly. And um, the doctors told him some of the things that they had found were scar tissue from all his other accidents, to not worry about anything. But he kept losing weight, so he kept getting blood done, and nothing was coming back. So we knew something wasn't right, we just weren't sure what. Um, he physically hurt, but that wasn't anything new because of the buildings falling on him, and having arthritis and metal and different things in his body to make it work. And so um, he finally, a doctor said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and send you to a cancer institute. This was in December. And so he said, well, we'll get you in for January. So January 4th, 2018, we went and they did blood work. And right away, that blood work came back that he had multiple myeloma, which is a form of cancer that a lot of firefighters get from carcinogens. It's a blood cancer from the benzene on the fire truck. Cancer is actually the #1 killer for firefighters, and PTSD is #2, and with suicide, and #3 is then just the natural accidents of buildings falling on you and things like that. So um, they did 2 biopsies from there, and he had 2 forms of cancer. He had multiple myeloma, and he had, and I don't know if I really say this one right, but neuroendocrine. Anyways, there are two normal common forms of cancer that firefighters get, and so his oncologist was absolutely surprised that he had 2. He was ready to fight it, and he had seen so many miracles in his life. We were believing for miracles, and believing, knowing that God could do a miracle and save him and heal him. And I'm going to back up a little bit if I can. From November 2017, I had a vision, and I was driving, and I heard the Holy Spirit tell me, you need to pull over because you're getting ready to go into a vision. And I had no idea what a vision was. So, but I knew that since I didn't know what it was, I better listen and do it. So I did. And it's kind of like a real life dream. And all of a sudden I was awake but in a dream, and there were clouds all around, and our 3 children were on the left side of me, and on the right side of me was Pat, my husband, and he was dressed in full firefighter uniform from his helmet to his coat to his boots. But he was looking forward. He wasn't looking at me, and I was saying hi to him, but he wasn't acknowledging me, and I was like, okay. Yeah, and then I look forward and I see the image that we've probably all seen of Jesus in the white robe. And it's like, oh, hi. And he was so loving, and so patient the whole time he talked to me. And he asked me if, he said, can I have Pat? And I said, well, you already have him. He already knows you. He's been raised and been a Christian his whole life, and a majority of his life. And he said, no, can I have Pat? And it didn't hit me for a few times until I realized, oh, you're asking me to give him to you. I said, wait, you want to take him? Like, you want to actually like kill him and take him away from us? And I, I wish that everybody could hear how loving and how patient his voice was, because I cannot even begin to explain it except for the words of, he was so patient and so loving. And he just kept asking me, not getting annoyed. I gave him every excuse of why he couldn't, like, he couldn't have Pat. And from 1, he was my husband. 2, he was the kid's dad. 3, we fought for kids in sex trafficking and sexually abused. We did foster care. We did, he was a firefighter. He saved many lives. We needed him here on earth. Why would he need to take him? And so Jesus just kept asking me very patiently. And I finally heard another voice in my head say, you need to obey. And I thought, ugh. So I had a really bad attitude. And I said, fine, you can have him. And I'm thinking, why is Jesus asking me? He could just take him. But he's such a loving God. He was letting me make that decision too, and to give him to him. And so when I said fine, with not a good attitude, Pat walked forward. It was like he was released. And when he got to Jesus, Jesus took his helmet off his head, and Pat laid his head on Jesus's shoulder. And then Jesus motioned for me to come there too, and hugged us both. So I came home in November of 2017 and told Pat that, and he thought, that's beautiful. Now we talked about heaven and how it was real and his experiences again, not knowing that a few months later he was going to pass away and really for this time go to heaven and stay in heaven. And so back in January, when we were told he had 2 cancers, January 26th, after the biopsies and everything was finished, they said, you have a good 3 years to live. And I was excited because that was more than 6 months or 3 months, or just that, okay, we can do this. And in those 3 years, a miracle can happen. And it was 3 weeks later, he passed away. He started to get really sick from the chemo that he did. And he, in ICU, he was going downhill big time. And I had a decision to make if I was going to keep him on life support or not. And I decided to, because I decided there could be a miracle out of that. And God had other plans, and he, even on life support, he was not making it. So my husband used to always say, I'm not scared to die. I'm not scared of death. He'd seen enough of it. He just didn't want to leave us. And he fought so many times. He had had his chest broken so many times. He had been intubated. He had been on life support. He wasn't scared of any of that. So he was okay with all of that. He wanted to fight to be able to stay here with us. But he also knew how beautiful heaven was. And I remember him talking about how he was going to be okay in heaven. He just was going to miss us. And I'm very, very, very grateful for, even though at the time I didn't feel like God had answered my prayer and my miracle, I knew that he could do miracles because I'd seen them so many times in my life. I just know that sometimes it's not his choice to, no matter how much we believe, no matter how much we have faith, his plans and his ways are greater than we can even understand. And that's what's helped me get through these last 2 years, is just trusting and knowing that I can't even comprehend his plan. I can't, even if he were to tell me, I don't even know that I would understand it here on earth. And so when I laid in the ICU bed with him, and I remember that vision of, I could either keep fighting and hold on to him, or I could surrender him and hand him over to Jesus. And that's what I did. And he was able to pass away from my arms into heaven's arms on February 23rd, 2018 at 10 p.m. at night. And I remember shortly after he'd passed, laying there with him. And I remember thinking, wow, his body is really a shell. Like his soul is really gone and in heaven. And then I remember thinking, wow, we did it till death did us part. We actually, it was just such an amazing, great accomplishment to feel that we had a good marriage, not perfect, but a great marriage. And but the feeling was more than any degree that I've had, more than anything I've ever done in my life, of we actually made this till death do us part. And it really showed me how important a marriage covenant is. Second to salvation, it's just so important. And um, so, when I got up from being in the hospital bed with them, I felt this peace that passed all understanding. Could not explain it to this day other than I know that it was God, because it was such a peace. Since then, I've gone through a lot of pain and a lot of all the emotions that you can think of, grief-wise. But God's been there pulling us through. Family and friends have rallied around us and have a great community with family and friends in the Danny Johnson community. And just with knowing knowing the tools that I have done to actually get me to this healing. Not that I will ever arrive until I'm in heaven of healing, but there's so many tools that can pull you through. And one of those, number one, would be faith. For me, it would be faith, and his ways are higher than mine, and prayer, and positive. I tell people that even when I didn't feel like it, because I didn't have a plan of suicide, but I wanted to die. I just wanted to die and go to heaven with him. And I remember telling myself, after I went to the doctor and asked him, like, my brain's not working, I don't know what's happening to me. And he's like, honey, you're in grief. And when he wouldn't put me on any medication to help switch my brain or anything, I thought, I've got to do this on my own. I've got to figure this out if I want to actually survive this. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, even if you don't feel like it, you are going to have to be grateful. You're going to have to tell yourself that you are grateful. You are grateful for that white wall that's in front of you. You are grateful for the cover that's on you. You are grateful, just start naming it, whether you feel it, whether you, whether you feel it or not. And I did. It was like I sandblasted my brain with gratitude and positivity. Well, I thought, if I did that all the time, I'm also lying to myself, because I'm in pain and I feel these emotions. And so there's got to be a balance, and there really is. You can, with grieving, any type of grieving or any type of emotion, God gave us those emotions. Even though feelings can be liars, God gave us those, put into us, like, fearfully and wonderfully made us and made those emotions in us. So they're not wrong. So I just completely, when I'm feeling anything, I feel it. And I let it happen and I let it out, but I don't stay in it. I don't manifest it. Then I replace it with God's word, and I replace it with gratitude and positivity. And it's helped me survive, and it's also helped me thrive in a lot of ways, in a lot of areas. And I'm definitely not there all the way yet, but it's definitely what has kept me afloat and here today, and knowing that every day and everything around me is a miracle.
So powerful, friend. I mean, one could easily say these are just words, coming from you, but this is truth. And this is truth not only with what you're saying, but I've seen it in action. I've seen you all over social media. I've seen you in person these last 2 years. How many times? I can't even remember. But every time I see you, every time I see you in either place, social media or in person, you are constantly speaking life, not only over yourself, but over people around you. You are speaking about your trust in the Father. You're sharing your story. You're inspiring people with hope, with belief, with faith. And that just shows that what you're sharing with us today is truth. It's who you are at the core. And it also shows that there's a lot more power
to what you're talking about than what we most of the time give credit to. What you're saying actually works, and it's working in your life, and I'm seeing it like crazy. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. I mean, you really are that person that says, you know what, I've been through some crappy stuff, but let's just take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
And I trust that God is with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting to see in action what that looks like and what that can bring about in your life and what that can do for other people. And that's an inspiration, friend. You really are an overcomer. You're taking all of the horrible stuff that's happened to you, and you're choosing not to stay there. You're choosing not to stay stuck. You're choosing to continue to have faith and to continue to walk. And that's amazing. And it's beautiful. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored to know you. And I'm so grateful that you decided to join us today and share your story, and hopefully, give that message out there that there's hope for other people that are going through what you have been through. We're going through in what seems like impossible situations, and need that message that, you know what, where they're at right now is not the end. Let me tell you my story. So before we end, if there's one thing that you could tell somebody that's going through exactly what you went through, what one thing would you tell them today?
I would tell them there's hope, and not to give up, and to really notice the little things around you, because the little things really will become the big things in life. And they really are so important and detrimental to your physical and mental health. And I would tell you to pray, and to, not only when you're praying, to imagine things that are happening in heaven, that that they're coming down here on earth and happening too, and believing and continuing to have the faith and the hope, and knowing that God is not here to harm us and to punish us. He's here to give us a hope and a future, and a story. And I would encourage you to tell your story. Tell it, because not only is it going to help others, it's going to help you heal. It's going to help. You never know what life it could save. You never know what life it could actually impact. So don't ever feel like, oh, I don't want to bother somebody, or, oh, it's not very important, because it's so important. And I just fight every day to live, because we don't have long here on earth. And really, our life is just like a complete vapor. Be grateful and really notice the people that are right in front of you, and know that one day you're going to see your loved ones again.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, friend. And before we close out, I know that you're helping bring awareness to our firemen and the dangers that they face. Quick, share with us the name of your nonprofit and what you're trying to do, and we can hopefully bring more awareness to that as well.
Yeah, my friend Alicia started this it's called Faithful by Design, and she has it's the faithful part is FAITHFULL, and it helps support human trafficking and firefighters that have passed away from, or either going through or passed away from cancer or PTSD and suicide. And she's named that Patrick's Heart. And she's so yeah, it's called Faithful by Design. So, and we're helping get it, or those donations will go to helping any awareness with preventing suicide, PTSD, any type of cancer, and what the families have to go through that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Repeat that name for us. Is it a website link, or is it a Facebook page that they should find?
It's both. It's a website link. It's and Facebook page. It's called Faithful by Design.
Faithful by Design. Is that a .com?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So faithfulbydesign.com, everybody. Make sure to look that up. Thank you again, Jenny, for sharing your story. You're such an inspiration. I'm so proud of you. And I so appreciate your heart for people who are struggling, for people who are hurting, and they just need to hear a message of hope and to hear who the Father is. And I'm so proud of you for being willing to share your heart, what you've been through, and your vulnerability in the journey of the last 2 years. I know it's still a fresh story for you. So I just want you to know I'm so proud of you, and I'm proud to be on this journey alongside of you. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jen. I love you.
I love you too, friend.
Bye.
Wow, wasn't that powerful? Do you have an overcomer story? Do you know someone who needs to hear this message? Please share this video on your social platforms and tag us so we know who you are. Stay tuned as we share more overcomer stories in the weeks ahead. We're looking for you. We're looking for the overcomers. Join us. Let's come together as the overcomers. Start sharing your story. We have multiple ways you can start getting involved and repping the movement, repping your story of what he has done in your life. For example, we've got journals. You can start writing your story down. Start getting it out of your head and on paper. We've got bracelets. Start repping that we're a group that are coming together to inspire people. We've got t-shirts and sweatshirts to not only remind yourself that you're filled with gold, but everybody around you, that your story is powerful. And don't forget, you can pick up a copy of Finding His Voice on Amazon, An Overcomer's Journey from Suicide to Success. An Overcomer's Journey which launched this very movement. And last but not least, if you want to learn how to overcome, visit www.dannyjohnson.com. That's my coach, and that's where I learned how to overcome. Thank you so much for joining with us today. We believe in you, and we believe in the power of story. We believe in your story.